G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be grading every AFL team's season of this year 2021. It's been quite a competitive season when you look back at it, fellas. We've had, I think, 6 teams with 60 points plus. Now I'm aware that a handful of other people have done these kind of videos where they've graded each team's performance this season. We've had, I think, a few YouTubers do it, a few people on Instagram I've seen have been doing it, and I just thought, why the hell not, let's do it too. So before I get into the grading, everyone, please note that I'm grading the teams based on, their circumstances and their expectations and, where they finished last season compared to this season. I'm taking all that into consideration. So without further ado, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy today's video. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Rightio, so to kick it off, of course, with these every AFL team videos, we go in chronological order and we kick it off with the Adelaide Crows. And I've given the Adelaide Crows a solid C. I feel like they've had, a pretty standard season, I guess you can say. They were predicted to finish, around bottom 4, and they did just do that. And I guess you can say, the expectations were kind of met. They didn't really sleep. They weren't wooden spooners. Obviously, they were the wooden spooners last season. And, I felt that really the highlight of their season was the start of their season. The first win over Geelong in round 1, I was really thinking, this could be a bit of a dark horse. And, throughout the first 10 rounds, they were hovering just outside the 8. They were a force to be reckoned with. You had Taylor Walker kicking goals for fun. I thought he could kick 100 goals. And then, of course, the infamous incident did happen. They've also had some decent first-year players come in with Phil Thorpe and also Sam Berry. And I feel those two players are actually quite good for the Crows this season. I reckon they'll develop into stars. And, your typical men like Sloan and Ben Keys and who else is there? Roy Laird. They've just been chipping away this season very nicely and collecting awesome stats. And, it's been, just a standard season for the Crows. It hasn't been that great. It hasn't been poor. It's just been, I reckon the expectations have been met. Obviously, you'd love for every, your team to finish top 8. But since you've been wooden spooners the previous year before, you don't want to be wooden spooners really. So it's been I've liked the way the Crows have played as well. You've got your Tom Doody at centre halfback. He had a great year. Butts as well. 𝐬𝐴𝐿𝐸 on the wing. They were fantastic too. And of course, their win in round 10 over the Demons was fantastic too. So yeah, for the Crows, I've given them a C. Rightio, next up we've got the Brisbane Lions, and I've given them a grade of a B+. Now this is, I feel, probably maybe a little bit, I feel it's kind of fair enough. I was thinking a bit between an A- and a B+, but considering that the Lions were pretty much, the red hot favourites to win the flag this year, and, to just crawl into top 4 and to go in straight sets, I feel like they have to achieve a B grade this season. I actually felt that their home away season was one of the most, consistent performances out of any team in the competition. They were very good, and I was thinking, they can seriously be a force to be reckoned with in finals footy. But the cookie crumbled there quite a bit for the Lions. There were definitely lapses throughout the season where I really enjoyed the way the Lions played their footy. Such quality players. Daniel Rich picking up his first All-Australian honours across that half-back line. Very good player. 𝐼𝐶 had a nice breakout year. McCluggage on the wing was also excellent. 𝐓𝐡𝐞 was brilliant in the mids, and then obviously the recruit Joey Daniher. He had just a really solid season. I feel I'm pretty sure he kicked a goal every game. He was excellent. The big O was nice as well. 𝐬𝐿𝐸 Robinson. Brownlow medalist Neil, a bit of a meh season, but he's still a quality player. So I feel for the Brisbane Lions, it was a bit, I guess you could say, unfortunate that they did go out in straight sets. I don't think they shouldn't have lost that game against the Bulldogs, but I feel a B+ for them was good. I reckon they should have easily made top 4. And if they did win a finals game, I might have given them an A+. But for the Lions, B+. Moving on to the Blues now, we've got good old Carlton, and for them, it is harsh, but it is quite the truth. I've given them a D. They've had another failed season, and it just seems to be year by year. Expectations are finals footy, and it just keeps on getting squandered. And this was just a bit of a disaster. They had a few decent lapses of footy, but apart from that, it was just disappointing, really. I see, on the Blue Abroad channel, for example, people, their fans on fan cams getting fired up and everything, and so they should, but they just get disappointed, week after week, and it's just total dramas over there. But they've brought in Michael Voss, and I think he's the perfect man for the job. I think I was talking to a few Carlton fans, and they were saying there's definitely a few weaklings in that side, and Michael Voss, tough as nails. What a appointment for the Blues. But talking about this season, it just seemed to be another underachieving season for the Blues. You know, they've got a somewhat decent list, but yeah, it just seems not to be working at the moment. You know, Paddy Dow, Mark Murphy, Cripps, you know, they were all questioned this season. You know, your 𝐼𝐴, and also your high-paid players like Zach Williams was questioned as well. You know, they were just underperforming. You know, a lot of expensive players in that side just were not up to standard. However, it was not all negativity for the Blues. You know, they did have some upside this season with, you know, your Harry Mackay and Sam Walsh, absolutely fantastic seasons, both picking up all Australian honours, and Walsh coming, I think it was 4th in the Brownlow medal. What a count that was, and how about that? You know, he is, some people saying that he's the best 21-year-old to ever play the game, you know, best 21-year-old at the time to play AFL footy, which is, you know, I actually agree with that in a way. You know, he's just insane, and, you know, Harry Mackay, great season from him too. So, you know, those are, I guess, the two foundation players Carlton really needs to develop if they are wanting to build a really solid side. Now on to the Pies, and I've given, you know, pretty much the same grade as Carlton just before, a D. However, I've given a D-. It's harsh, but, you know, from winning a finals game in Perth against the Eagles, which is very difficult, you know, last year to be 17th this year, it has just been a bit of a disaster for the Magpies. It kind of was coming expected though. You know, they had players leaving the club and not a great trade period, and yeah, it was a bit of a shambles this season. It was quite discovered early on with, you know, your Pies fans barely attending any games, and they were questioned quite a bit. There were nice lapses from a few youngsters like your Bianco and 𝐼𝐴. They played some decent footy, and then eventually Pendlebury got injured and was out for the rest of the season. That raises questions. Will Pendlebury step down as a captain? You know, there's definitely thoughts of that I've been hearing around the net. It's good to see Jamie Elliott back in the side, to be fair. You know, he's been injured for quite a while, then I think he got injured a little bit again. But, you know, he was back to goal form throughout the season. And speaking of individual performances, Jack Crisp had an excellent season. I still think he was robbed of the 40-man squad. He was just brilliant, and also he was the highest polling voter of... And also he was the highest polling Brownlow voter as a defender, which is absolutely excellent. And, you know, even though there were a few, you know, quite good individual performances, it was just simply the team performance that really lacked. And, you know, 17th, not great for the Pies, but yeah, you know, there's still faith in them, and I reckon they'll have a better year next year. But for this year, not so great, D-. Moving on to Collingwood's rivals, we've got Essendon, and I feel this is an absolutely fair grade. We've given the Bombers an A. We've given them an A-. It's just been an absolute revelation season for the Bombers. You know, they were pretty much down and out at the end of last season with Worsfold getting sacked and leaving, and Ben Rutten, new coach coming in, the three key players, Fantasia, Joey Danaher and Adam Sard leaving, so that just leaves a lot of holes. But, you know, they had a very good draft period with Nick Cox and Archie Perkins coming in. They were absolutely excellent this season. And, yeah, they were just a huge dark horse, predicted to finish bottom 4, and they turned the season on their heads. Really, they were excellent. And, you know, throughout the home and away season, it was a little bit inconsistent, but their drive home and their performance the last 10 rounds was fantastic, and that's what, you know, pretty much made them make the finals. And it was unfortunate to not see them win a finals game. That's why I've given them an A-, because they didn't win a finals game. Their season was, you know, quite a bit inconsistent, but apart from those negatives, an excellent season from the Bombers. And, you know, it is quite exciting to be a Bombers fan. New coach, Rutten was excellent this season, probably the top 3 or top 5 for Coach of the Year. And how about the two midfielder duos of Merritt and Parrish? They were excellent this year, and they just seem to be partners in crime. It is such an awesome partnership to have, and that's really what a lot of AFL teams kind of lack of, those two midfielders that just absolutely dominate their all-Australian calibers. So, yeah, very exciting I'd be if I was a Bombers fan, and I'm pretty sure, I reckon they'll be top 8 again next year. So for them, an A-. Heading into the West now, we've got the Fremantle Dockers, and gee, I like the way this team played throughout the season. I've given them a solid C+. You know, they were 12th last year, 11th this year. It was just another average season, I guess, for the Dockers. You know, I wasn't really expecting much of them. The first few rounds of the season was a bit iffy, and I thought, they could really, you know, crumble here this season, but they really picked things back up. An excellent win against the Swans in round 10 was quite notable. And yeah, it just kept on very nice wins they had this season. You know, you had the one against Richmond round 20, and also you had your one against the West Coast in round 21 or 22, one of those two. That was an excellent game, and yeah, that just seemed to be a very, you know, a likeable team, I guess you could say. I love the way they play. You know, your Sarong, your Brayshaw in the midfield. It's an excellent partnership. It was a shame to see Nat Fyfe go down around the second. It was a shame to see Nat Fyfe go down in the second half of the season, but you know, it fills in the gap nicely with those elite midfielders. And also maybe Chera's leaving, but I reckon Nat Fyfe should be in the forward line next year. He is. I reckon he'd be very nice there, and he's getting old too. But yeah, similar to the Adelaide Crows season, which I also gave a C, but I've given the Dockers a C+, because yeah, I just like the way they play their footy. You know, it's entertaining. You know, their fan base is excellent. I love, you know, just all those passionate Freo fans get up and cheer. They kind of seem to be that team that was the underdog, but really turn it up and, you know, almost shock the opponents. Also, alongside the elite midfielders of your Sarong and Brayshaw, there's also, you know, Mundy had an excellent season. Luke Ryan was quite decent down in the back pocket. Matty Tamanto had a nice season up forward. Lobb was alright too. Sean Darcy had an excellent season. So, yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, upside for the Freo Dockers. You know, they've got a good mixture of experience and young talent, and it was, you know, I guess, good put to good use. And, you know, had a pretty solid crack at finals this year, but unfortunately couldn't make it. But, yeah, I reckon a C+ for the Dockers is a fair grade. Moving on to the Cutters now, and we have given them an A-. Pretty simply, they do deserve an A this season. The home away season was probably the best out of any team this year. Very consistent. You know, of course, you know, like every team, they had their slumps, but for me, it was the experience in the side that really aided them this season. And I thought they would go a lot deeper into finals, but we all know the story. They did not do very well at all during the finals. So that's why I've given them the minus next to their A. But speaking of experienced players, you know, there were a handful that were quite questionable this year. You know, your Joel Selwyn and Dangerfield, they didn't have a great year at all, really. Hawkins, however, was quite excellent, and Jeremy Cameron, the recruit, was fantastic too. Was very clutch in most games. The recruit, Shaun Higgins, was quite decent alongside the wing. Your Mitch Duncan was very nice, same with Isaac Smith. The Irishman, 𝐓𝐴𝐞, excellent year from him, very entertaining player to watch. And can't forget the old Tommy Stewart too, had a great year down back, even though he did get injured. It felt like the Cats filled the gap alright with Henry. He had an also pretty solid year too, but yeah, Tom Stewart was one of the best defenders in the league this year, and yeah, of course, All-Australian worthy. You know, it's a bit of a shame that now pretty much the premiership's window is closed for the Cats, but we still witnessed some good footy from them this season. And yeah, so an A- for the Cats. Moving on to the Gold Coast Suns now, and I've given them a D grade. However, I've added a plus to their D because I had some terrific upside this year. You know, obviously it was just another, not so great season from the Suns, with being, I think, 15th on the ladder. They did have some positives this year, and it was quite notable with the Suns pulling off some excellent wins this year. You know, ones against the Swans and the GWS Giants, and also, who couldn't forget the one against Richmond. Pulled their pants down on primetime footy. It was a very entertaining game to watch, and you know, that's the Suns that is, you know, exciting to watch at times, but yeah, unfortunately, they just can't perform it all season. There's questions with Stewie. I personally feel he probably needs more experienced staff around him. I rate him as a coach. I think he's not too bad at all. And alongside the staff, there is, you know, some very underrated and quality plays in that side. You know, you took Miller getting the Best and Fairest award, and also All-Australian Honours. Fantastic season. How about that? I don't know if anyone saw that press conference after he won the medal, the Best and Fairest award, but geez, the passion in him. That's a really exciting to see if you're a Suns fan. Rare to see that, really, the loyalty of a player in a club. I felt Ben King was quite good this year. You know, I don't think he really had a breakout season, but you know, he was on the score sheet quite often, and you know, he really had some exciting performances. But yeah, there's just so many underrated players to really name in that Gold Coast side. You know, your Noah Anderson, your Jack Lukosius, they were excellent this year. Matty Rao was a bit injured, but he came back okay, I guess. Josh Corbett had a nice few spells down at the forward line. I really rated his, contested marking and goal kicking. And it was a shame for 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and Hugh Greenwood to go down throughout the season. I really felt that, Gold Coast were under the pump as soon as they lost 𝐓𝐡𝐞, pretty much their only ruckman early in the season. But, they seemed to patch it okay. And I don't think it was disastrous for the Suns. It was pretty much, they were expected to be bottom 6, and they were. But, yeah, the plus is definitely deserved. They had, some really good upside this year. Next up, we've got the GWS Giants, and I am being, I guess a bit controversial with this grade, but I've given them a B+. First off, they've had an excellent season, don't get me wrong, winning a finals game and just pulling off excellent, similar to Essendon, pulling off an excellent last 5 rounds performance for them to make finals. However, I did not give them an A- because I just felt, looking at their playing list, it is just so elite, and their home and away season was a bit of a shambles really in the first half of the season. It was just inconsistent really, and I thought, they're a bit of an underachieving side this year. And I remember I did a poll around a month ago saying, who do you reckon's the most, underachieving side this year? And I definitely, I had GWS as an option because I felt they were quite underachieving, and who knew that they scraped into finals, and bloody kudos to them. And I reckon the B+ is a bit of a fair enough grade, and I can definitely see people agreeing that Giants deserved an A, but I felt, home away season was a bit inconsistent. But hey, apart from the negatives, it was, plenty of positives for the Giants. Talking about their playing list, absolutely a lot of stars in there. Tom Green coming second in the NAB Rising Star. Toby Green, another Green, getting all Australian honours, pretty much the best small forward this year, I reckon, or forward pocket. Your players down back like Lachie Whitfield and Sam Taylor, and also who else is there? Hayes was quite excellent too. It was, just a lot of, as I said, it's pretty much an elite playing group really. There are some really good players in there, and they had, quite excellent seasons. It was a shame to see 𝐚𝐞 kind of drop, but, players like your Taranto and your Tom Green really rise this season. Big old Shane Mumford had quite a decent season too. We always question when the hell he's going to bloody retire, but he looks like he could be playing on for many more years. He just still looks like he's got it. And obviously there were a lot of lapses where he was a bit too aggressive at the footy, but no, we all love Mummy. And also Josh Kelly, we couldn't forget him, of course. Excellent season on the wing, and a Giant for life by the looks of it. Signed a massive 5 or 6 year deal. Jesse Hogan, the recruit, not a bad season from him. He was a bit of a reject over there at the Demons, but looks like and the Fremantle Dockers, sorry. But it looks like he's picked up a bit of form this year, which is great to see as a Rising Star winner. Himmelberg was a little bit quiet, but I reckon Chelsea Hogan filled the gap, I guess, decently, really. So yeah, for the Giants, B+. Moving on to the Hawks now, and I've given them a C. I feel like that's a bit of a generous grade, I guess a handful of people can say, but even though they did finish bottom 5, I still felt that they were quite decent at times throughout the season. They were definitely a handful of poor performances, and we did see 𝐚𝐶𝐞 leave, but it seemed that after 𝐚𝐶𝐞 announced that he is leaving the club, those last 5 rounds, they had an excellent spell, the Hawks. They were winning against, who did they win against? They won against the Magpies quite well. They won against the Bulldogs. They dominated them, really. They should have won against the Richmond. It was, there's some nice performances. Excellent win over Sydney, and how about that John Newcombe? We could not leave him out in this video. I think it was 14 tackles on his debut, breaking the VFL/AFL record. An excellent pickup in the mid-season draft. Tommy Mitchell, another great season from him. Your 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐿 was quite nice as well. Will Day had a decent season. Tom Phillips, I felt, had a really nice year too, alongside the wing. He was definitely an excellent recruit this year, quite an underrated player. Bruce was nice as well. I reckon 𝐸𝐶𝐿 was quite nice. 𝐸𝐶𝐿 was quite nice in the ruck too. CJ Chunkworth-Jack was a really nice player, entertaining player to watch as well. And of course, Timmy O'Brien, I think he was unlucky not to get the mark of the year. He was decent as well. So yeah, because of those last 3 to 4 or 5 rounds of the season, their performance is so excellent. I've given them a C, and again, I didn't really expect them to finish that high on the ladder, and I felt similar to Adelaide. It was, I guess, expectations met, I guess you could say. Probably they might have wanted to finish higher, but it's just my opinion. I reckon a C grade for them, because they had that pretty much that almost perfect balance of bad losses and really good wins. Moving on to the Melbourne Demons, and pretty much a no-brainer. Easily an A+ this season. What a season it has been for the Demons. Premiers of 2021, and hey, this last year. They were probably bottom 6 or something like that. I know they weren't that great in 2019 as well, and a bit of a hangover from 2018, might I say. But yeah, this year it's just been such a turnaround. Simon Goodwin, what a coach he has been this year. I heard that, I think it was at Langdon saying at a press conference, he's never heard him ever raise his voice, and he just seems to be that calm and composed kind of demeanour as a coach, and it's I guess assisted the side. The playing group is absolutely elite, and it just it was lacking that chemistry, and this year it just seemed to click. Your Max Gawn, your Petrarca, very charismatic players in the side. Langdon, as we said, Brayshaw. There's just every position seemed to be quite elite for the Demons this year. Their forward line, however, I guess was quite not as good as the Bulldogs, for example, but they just kept on growing, getting better and better. Big Benny Brown was one of the main men in the forward line, excellent. Fritsch had a great year too. He was a bit unlucky not to make the All-Australian, but still great season from him. And there's just simply so many players to name, fellas. So Clayton 𝐬𝐿𝐴, how could I leave him out? Great season from him too, and also I think it was 6 players making the All-Australian this year or something, 4, 5, 6. It was just all Demons this year, and they were undefeated, 9-0. Had that unfortunate loss against the Crows, and they cancelled them with the 10-0, but deserved premiers this year, I reckon, and A+ easily, 100%. Just all quality across every department. Your Choco Williams in your staff, your Simon Goodwin, as we said, and just an elite playing group. So A+, no brainer for the Demons. What a season. Next up, we've got North Melbourne, and the Wooden Spooners for the first time in over 30 years. However, even though they were Wooden Spooners, I did like the way they played their footy this year. They were quite bad with the first 8 rounds going winless, but how about that first win over the Hawks? That was absolutely excellent. And that's obviously a very likeable team this year. It just seemed to be one of those seasons where they were getting better game by game. John Noble, obviously a new coach, he was, I guess you could say he was still learning his playing group the first 8 to 10 rounds, and then eventually things started to click. He started putting players in different positions. You had your 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 move around a bit. Same with your Nick Larkin and Cam Zurhaar. They had excellent seasons too. Ben Cunnington had a nice spell, and then unfortunately they lost him through personal issues. Jack Ziebell had another excellent year, I reckon, down the back pocket / half-back line. New recruit Jaden Stevenson was quite promising for the Roos. I reckon it's their main piece, really, or foundation play they really need for him to develop and to stay and grow if they want to experience finals footy in the next 5 to 10 years. Of course, Tommy Goldstein had an excellent year, picking up the all-time record for the most hit-outs, I'm pretty sure. Tom Powell, the youngster, was very nice this year. Unfortunately, he did get injured and not play as many games as he expected. But I'm really keen to see how he goes next year, because he was very consistent this season, stats-wise. But positives aside, they were probably a deserved Wooden Spooners, really. It's a young side, new coach, players, lacking chemistry early on. It was, pretty much always going to happen, and they were predicted to finish, Wooden Spooners, and I feel like the D grade is fair enough. But there's definitely hope for the Roos, and I reckon they'll probably maybe it'll push 15th, 16th next year. So D grade for them. Okay, now for the Port Adelaide Power, and I've given them similar to the Lions in they are close from getting an A-, but I've given them a B+, simply because the Power, a good season from them, but similar. I'm just going to say similar to Lions again. Similar to Lions. They were the red hot favourites to win the flag this year. I definitely thought there was going to be a lot of revenge and a lot of fire in the players' bellies after that unfortunate loss against the Tigers in the prelim final in 2020. And it seemed to kick off well for the Power, don't get me wrong, but eventually we did find out the theory of Power can only beat bottom 10 sides, and they could not beat a top 8 side. It took till round 15 for the Power to beat a top 8 side in Sydney. And it is very true though. I don't think you can really give an A to a side that's barely beats any top 8 sides, because that's a team you got to beat. Teams you got to beat in finals footy, and to their credit, they did finish top 4. They had an excellent game against the Bulldogs the last round. They won in style over the Cats, but hey, the Cats weren't really great in finals footy either. So, but you still got to give them credit. But for them to just choke, at home against the Bulldogs by a huge margin, it's I don't think it is an A-worthy team this year. However, B+, it was still an excellent season from them, Yes, even though all they could really beat was bottom 10 sides, they're still difficult teams to play. Not every team is quite hard to play, and credit to them for getting a handful of win streaks here and there. Of course, we have to mention Ollie Wines picking up the Brownlow medal. He was instrumental this season. Same with Travis Boak, his partner in crime. The recruits for the Power were quite excellent too. 𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐴 was quite decent this season, and of course 𝐼𝙗𝐪𝐿𝐼𝐻, I reckon he's the recruit of the year by far. He picked up an All-Australian blazer this season. He was just immense for the Port Adelaide Power. Then your youngsters like your Rosie, Geordie Arties, Butters were quite excellent too, I reckon. Cole Amon had a very good season this year along the wing. He was definitely talks of him getting All-Australian potentially. He was a little sneaky chance. The skipper Tom Jonas, excellent year for him down back, I reckon. Nice performances. Dan Houston, I reckon, was quite underrated this year. He was excellent down back. Scotty Lycett was quite good on the ruck this year. Yeah, just, overall, a lot of good performances from individual performances across the playing group. And, as we said earlier, it's, you can't really give an A to a team that was not beating really many top 8 sides this year. But, they still had a good season. B+. Moving on to the Tigers now, and it is a quite fair grade to give them. Solid D, really. Failed season. Perfect definition, really, of a premiership hangover. Not, of course, credit to them for having such a great era, but I feel like it could be potentially over. I still think I can definitely bounce back next year. I reckon the key for them to finish so low and have a bit of a hangover was the lack of experience in the side. Your Dusty Martin leaving, a lot of players out, like Noah Bolter, Shane Edwards didn't really play that much. And yeah, just, also injuries as well really hurt them. As I said, Noah Bolter earlier on, Floston, Basher Hooley, Liam Baker was trying to fill the midfield gap where he's, naturally a rebound defender. And I guess it just really exposed the youngsters this season. We did see quite decent young talent, in like Hugo Ralph-Smith, and maybe Chol was quite nice too. But yeah, it was just the quick transition from having an experienced playing group for them all of a sudden to be gone. I guess that's just what really hurt them. A few decent performances this season, but yeah, it was just a failed season really. And their pressure and just their clearances, it was just not good. Their contested footy was quite average this year. There was a handful of clangers. Your Trent Cotchin was just kicking it straight to the opposition. It was not a good season for the Tigers, and I hate to say it, but it was just it's not good at all. But I am personally feeling they can bounce back next season. But yeah, for them, a D. Moving on to the St Kilda Saints now, and we have given them a D+. The reason why I've given them a D is because they won a finals game last year, and expected to do make finals again this season, I guess, or maybe just be out. But yeah, it was a bit of a dismal, inconsistent season really from the Saints. They had their nice performances here and there. One against the Tigers was quite excellent. A good win over Sydney as well was another good one too. Their last 5 to 10 rounds was quite decent. They were picking up a bit of form, but yeah, not to mention, of course, we have to mention the their head coach Brett Rutten was questioned throughout the season. They were just inconsistent really. Really just killed them this year. But definitely a lot of upside. That's why I've given them the B+. They were, had really good lapses of consistency. They had really good lapses of decent performances. Of course, there were a handful of stars this year that really took the AFL by storm. Jack Steele, quite the obvious selection. Excellent year for him. I think it was his first year of being captain. And yeah, he was just such a fantastic leader. And, there were definitely thoughts of him and talks of him winning the Brownlow medal this year. And yeah, I think it was just an absolutely insane breakout year from him. And I'm bound to be sure that he'll have an excellent year next year too. Rowan Marshall and 𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐴 was quite excellent too. Paddy Ryder had a decent few spells in the ruck. Jack Looney, how about his goal in round 1? Excellent too. 𝐬𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐿 King, similar to his brother Ben. I reckon 𝐬𝐸𝐻𝐿 King probably had the better year. He was, I guess a bit inconsistent, but how he worked on his goal kicking, and that really works nicely. He had a good performances against Richmond, and West Coast was excellent too. He kicked a bag that game. And Brad Crouch, the new recruit, was quite decent as well. Luke Dunstan was very nice this year too. Tim Emery had a solid season too down forward. His contested marking department is very excellent. Tommy Highmore, the Canberra boy, he had a nice rookie year too. Had a few nice breakout games. Sinclair was very nice too. And there was some, obviously, also, Jack Higgins, couldn't forget him, small forward, quite decent too. But they have that nice, decent, quite solid playing group. But it's just inconsistency that's kind of hurt them really this year. But D+ for them. Now moving on to the Sydney Swans, and I feel like it's very similar with Essendon. Very fair to give them an A grade, an A-. They were also predicted to finish bottom 4 this year, the Swans, and they just turned things on their head. An excellent season. I was definitely thinking that the Swans, they were just going to have a meh year this year, just give the youth a crack and really turn it up next year. They had a very good draft and very good trade period as well, picking up Tommy Hickey. Shame that they let Ilier go, but, the players that they brought in was quite excellent. Your Goulden, just the youth, Goulden, Warner, Wicks, they just played excellent this year. Logan McDonald and Braden Campbell, and as I said, Goulden picked up in the draft. They had very nice years too. McDonald and Campbell lacked a bit this year with game time, but it just seems for the Swans that they have so many young talent to choose from this year. Nick Blakey, James Rowbottom was very nice this season too. The veterans, JPK and Luke Parker, solid seasons from them too, with Parker winning the best and fairest and him staying on. Geordie Dawson, such an underrated season from him. Shame that he is going to the Crows, coming from a Swans fan. But definitely a breakout year from him. And it was just predicted to finish bottom 4, and how they just went about their footy was entertaining, it was exciting, it was passionate. Their first 4 or 5 rounds was heavily noted. They were top 2. There were thoughts of, could they win the flag this year? They had their slumps, but I felt like they were quite a consistent team this year. And, I felt, definitely an early exit this season. It was such a shame to see them lose by a point against the Giants, but so many positives to take out of this year, and let's hope it's not a wasted season. I doubt it will be. I feel like they'll still make top 8. And, your Will Hayward, Buddy Franklin, of course, had a nice season too. Hey, he came back after 2 seasons out, and he kicked, I think it was 48 goals. Quite a solid season from him. And Hayward, as I said, a very nice season from him compared to last season. He was quite dismal. But it just seems so many Swans players to name that had a very nice season. It's just such an exciting playing group, and I think the future is quite bright for the Swans. And hey, the reason I say I've given them a minus next to the A is because they did fail to win a finals game. So but still, definitely an A grade worthy season from the Swans. Moving back to the West now, we've got the West Coast Eagles, and it was a bit of a failed season from them really, and I've given them a D. They were very, very good the last few years, constantly making finals, and for them to just fall out of the finals like that is just shocking, really. They seem to be nice and comfortable sitting in that 7th and 6th and 8th position, but just losing so many in a row really just hurt them. And it was such a disappointing just such a disappointing way to end the season, really losing that game by that specific margin against the Lions for them to make top 4. And it just the start of the season was quite decent. The plays, they still have that's one solid playing group, but it just seems that a lot of them were exposed this year. A lot of expensive, high-paid players were quite, as I said, just exposed. There were definitely a bit of controversy from Adam Simpson this year. A lot of Eagles fans saying that he wants to be sacked. It just seemed to be a lot of ups and lows from the Eagles. They did have a few ups. That game against Richmond was such a great performance. I reckon that was game of the year. But it was just a bit of a failed year for the Eagles. And let's hope they can turn things around next year. Willie Rowley's back from his suspension. Let's hope he can find a bit of form. Liam Ryan, flying Ryan, took a few nice grabs this year. But it's just simply the second half of the season that really killed the Eagles. And I feel, a D grade is a fair grade for them. And let's hope they can find some form next year. Now for the final team in the AFL competition is, of course, the Western Bulldogs. And we've given them an A. Now, obviously, the runners-up this year of the 2021 season. You know, I feel like an A is a bit of a fair grade. They were definitely a top 2 worthy side this year, and of course, you know, we all know the shocking last 3 games they had for them to choke the top 4. You know, your Kane Corn saying that they have choked the premiership, which is quite controversial, but, you know, tough and fair call, I guess you could say, from him. But, yeah, the Bulldogs' way to fight through and battle out to that grand final was just absolutely amazing. A lot of stars emerging. The playing group is just excellent, and it's just really it's like a well-oiled machine, really, with an excellent staff, excellent playing group. You know, your Bontempelli, Bailey Smith, Jack McRae, just seems, yeah, it's similar to Demons, you know, seems to be in a handful of positions. It's just elite. Josh Bruce had an excellent year. Unfortunately, yeah, he did get injured. Tim English, not a bad year from him. Your new recruit of Adam Treloar, had a quite decent season as well. I like the way 𝐕𝐻𝐪 played. He was alright too. 𝐼𝐗 𝐎𝐥𝐻𝐪, of course, the first overall pick. He had a few nice spells, and took a while for him to debut, but he seems to be a nice, exciting player. Same with Waitman. It just seems to be a lot of exciting players to watch. Duray had a nice season down at the half-back line. 𝐬𝐶𝐞𝐬 was decent as well. Aaron Norton had a fantastic year as well. Just his his contested marking is just fantastic. A bit inconsistent with his goal kicking, but that upside of his contested marking is excellent. Bailey Dale, I reckon he's probably the most improved player this year. From him to go to a forward, with not so great stats, not really getting a game, to becoming a new position in the half-back line and getting an All-Australian blazer, it's just fantastic. And brilliant season from him. Mitch Hannon had another not bad season, another recruit alongside Treloar. He was quite decent as well. Good old Liberatore was very nice as well. The midfield, I reckon, was fantastic for the Bulldogs at times. Just how they won the tap. Liberatore to Bontempelli lace out. It was fantastic, and I reckon that was probably one of Bont's best years. John Hannison, very nice too. Rourke Smith, underrated play. The Helmet Man, Caleb Daniel, excellent too. It's just an excellent playing group, and it was a shame for them to go down, in an unfortunate margin in the grand final. But hey, I reckon they were an easy top 2 side this year, and I feel like the A grade, not really a plus because they had a poor end of the season, and not a minus because, hey, they were still a top 2 side. It was an excellent season from the Bulldogs, and let's hope they can continue the form next year. So everybody, there are my grades for every single AFL team's performance this season of 2021. As I said earlier in the video, it was a very exciting and competitive season. Many teams playing their hearts out. And I feel like these grades, they are my opinion, and I feel like they're definitely fair. And feel free to comment who do you reckon, who would you grade, or who do you reckon I should have graded a particular team if I did them too high, too low. I definitely want to hear you fellas' feedback. It's what grows the channel, and hey, we're doing quite well with the growth and everything. I really appreciate the support, and if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And that's it from me, fellas. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.